Hey everyone, this is Kiersten Hall with Fox Pointe Publishing coming to you with another Fox Talk Facebook Live event. And this evening we are going to give some books away. We've got a bunch of fabulous people on the screen and I'm going to introduce all of them. And I'm going to remind you right now of how to win books. You need to come up with a question and put it in the chat box. And we have authors, we have an HR, we have an accountant, we have a publisher, publishing. I think that's all we have. We have sales on here. So we have all sorts of people with all sorts of hats. And all you have to do is come up with a question for one of us or all of us, and that enters you into the possibility of winning a book. And tonight I'm going to give away, let's see, probably 6 books. And okay, here's what we've got. I Am Perfect, good for the 4 to 8 year old crowd, 3 to 7, 4 to 8. And our author for this, Lydia Emma, she's going to be on the screen. She'll explain a little more about that. And then have not come in yet, but We Must All Be Ready to Sacrifice. This is by Mr. Dean Ulland, and this comes out officially tomorrow and will be on my doorstep tomorrow. The Hitchhiker is the second of the Thad Wheeler Detective series. It's a cozy mystery series, also written by Lydia Emma Niebuhr, who is also going to tell us about this. And then for the month of May, we've also have Give a Little Snuggle. This is a story songbook by Regina Noel Downing, and it's got sheet music in there. It's an illustrated poetry story. And then also the book You by Joanne Stevenson, and this is a very pretty book. It's a illustrated poem for children. So if you have any little ones in your life, children, grandchildren, kids you take care of, whatever, this is a beautiful book. Anyway, I'm going to let all these people talk, but I'm going to first explain who they are. All right, on my computer we have John up there. He is John Levenick. He has got a space opera, as he explains to me, and he'll talk a little more about that. It is, I just lost it, The Shattered Glass. The first one is Darkness Stirring, and his book cover just came out yesterday, and that is part of the Antarian Chronicles.
The Antarian Chronicles.
Okay. He's come up like with what, 20 worlds and 20 different languages, and
well, not that many languages, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's quite
involved
and
Okay.
developed
Yep.
setting.
And we also have on here Lydia Emma Niebuhr. Her square says Harriet, but her pen name Lydia Emma Niebuhr, and she writes cozy mysteries, 1 children's book so far, YA, middle grade, and she'll explain all that to us. We have Dean Ulland down there, and like I said, he's the one with the World War I non-fiction historical, and he's done a lot of work, and it looks fabulous, and he will explain a little of that. We have Katie Bishop in the other corner. She is one of our newest authors as well, and she writes noir. And if you have been on her Facebook page, is it author Katie Bishop or Katie Bishop author?
Katie.bishop.author.
Okay, get under her Facebook, and every so often she posts different noir clips or facts about noir or whatever, and it's
every day. We're doing every day.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And she's got, there are 2 cats, and it's Love and Murder, February 2022. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
And looking forward to that too. And then we also have Lyz Tkachuck. She goes by Lyz. She is our honorary, well, our bean counter and forced honorary HR department. And she does a lovely job. And so there you go. We will be chatting with her as well. All right. So like I said, the only way that we know you exist in order to possibly win a book is to write a question in the chat box. And oh, I should mention, admin down there is Brad. He's the one who makes this possible, because if he wasn't here, we would literally be sitting here talking to ourselves. And so yeah, he's looking for questions, and off we go. So the first one I'm going to pick on actually is Dean. Do you want to tell us about your book coming out tomorrow?
Sure. My book, We Must All Be Ready to Sacrifice, is about the experience of local people in this area regarding World War One. Some of it's noble, some of it isn't. And sometimes there were incidents of humor, but of course, many tragic episodes. Talk about the flu, which occurred during the war as well. We talk about the young men on the on the front lines, their experiences as they were drafted and shipped mainly to France. And of course, we talk a lot about the people who stayed here, their political, their political beliefs, which sometimes could be rather extreme. And one interesting and somewhat humorous chapter about one of my very favorite of all time communities, Blooming Prairie. Blooming Prairie at the time, because of the circumstances of geography, the saloon keepers in Blooming Prairie had a monopoly on liquor trade in southern Minnesota, or much of southern Minnesota, and then there's a full chapter devoted to their experience as the state government tried to shut them down, and talk about a bit about farm life, about home life. In other words, they try and cover a lot of areas of people's experiences, not big battle scenes and settings and that sort of thing, but I always emphasize in my writing and in my work, people, how this affected them, whether it was someone who was at the front or whether it was their parents at home. You know, it's going to be a traumatic experience, and so I try to talk about that, write about that.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to get the newspaper clippings and the pictures and all the documents and stuff?
Oh, that's my favorite part. It's quite easy to acquire newspaper clippings from historical societies at the state level or county levels, and so I found a lot of newspaper clippings. In fact, I found many that never made it into the book, but I tried to explain or tried to show how those sorts of clippings illustrated the lives of people. And I'll give you one sort of teaser. In one of the chapters, the chapter about the influenza, in one of the local newspapers, in adjacent columns, there was a story in one column about a young man who had died and his funeral had been the day before, that sort of thing. And in the column immediately to the right of that was another story about his brother coming home. And so, those are the sorts of things that I think are kind of powerful, and I try to use to illustrate my story.
Okay. All right. The next person I'm going to pick on, Katie. She's out of all of us, she's the newest author. So Katie, you want to tell us about Love and Murder?
I do. Here we have our preview cover, a little bit right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I write noirs, and this is a noir based on the premise that cats only know two things: love and murder. So here we have our main characters who are named after that premise.
Hold it up
Love.
higher.
Oh, here.
Yep, there you go.
There you go. Okay. Love and murder. So Love is a bratty little black cat who's also very pretty. She uses it to her advantage, but she also resents it. Murder is her brother. He's pensive and he worries a lot. He's as complicated as his indescribable taupey gray coat, and I'll pull him back up and you can kind of see like how murky he is. And that's kind of how he is inside and out. Since they're siblings, they have a lot of affection for each other, but there's also a lot of friction there. They're cats, so they're smart, and there's usually a subtext to what they're saying. You know, that's noir. It always means two things when characters are talking. So are they just bantering about the weather, or are they throwing shade about some deeper sibling dysfunction? So they have this neighborhood that they maraud around in, usually after they've been kicked out of the house for being bratty. They've got their rounds, and pretty much every cat that they meet is a reflection of who Love and Murder are and who they aren't. So Stripes is usually first. He's this crabby indoor tabby cat, and he's got this amazing domed feeder that sits in the window, and Love and Murder think they can get at it if they can scheme just right that day. And this upsets Stripes to no end, but our bickering siblings enjoy every second of it. They're, like I said, very bratty. There's also Rendezvous, and she chooses to be bound, and she stays within her garden. She's got this sage quality about her, but it also begs the question, can someone have that type of wisdom if they've never experienced the world? So Love and Murder want to think that they've got things under control and that they understand that world around them. But that's how they meet Remy the Blonde, who I've been Facebooking and tweeting about this last week. He is our femme fatale, or ferret fatale, as it so would be. And since we're modern, Remy is a male character. So that is, oh, I lost my train of thought there. So Remy's a male character, and that is how Love and Murder get pulled into this underworld, and that is how their lives spiral out of control. So that's it. That's Love and Murder.
All right, quickly, I'm just going to ask you, did you ever think you'd write noir, or what got you into writing noir?
Well, I've always loved classic films. I've always loved old movies. I've watched noirs for a long time. I've read some of the detective fiction. I just really love great storytelling with lots of subtext, lots of great lines, lots of imagery, lots of metaphor. And I'm a huge animal lover. I always have been my entire life. And I have some previously self-published work. I did a series, a short series about a chicken flock called Impeccable Petunia. And there was a whole lot of hen yard drama. I remember one of the first reviewers who reviewed it called it a barnyard opera. And one of the book bloggers who reviewed it she didn't really like it. She said it was too noirish for her.
Oh,
and I remember thinking, oh, I think I'm writing noir. And then I really got into it, really started studying noir. And my husband, John, was playing with our cat one night, and she was batting this feather toy around. And he said, you know, cats know two things, love and murder. And I thought, wow, that could be a really great noir. So I just started mulling that and working on that idea. And a few drafts later, here we are.
There you go. All right. Speaking of different operas, we're going to go over to John. Do you want to?
Nice segue. I love that.
Nice segue. I thought so too.
There.
All right. You've been working on your whole chronicles for what, 20 plus years or something?
If I'm honest about it, it's about 32 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first book, which is coming out here next year, early, Darkness Stirring. This is about the 6th draft of it officially. To tell you how long I've been working on this one, it started on a Commodore 64 word processor.
Oh, wow.
Program. Back in the day, yeah.
In the day, yeah.
Junior high when I actually started writing it down.
Okay.
But there's not a human character, there's not an Earth character in the series at all.
Okay.
Earth's not a known planet, but yeah, most of the races are humanoid. Why? Well, very simply. You ever look at the world?
Mm-hmm.
Forms repeat, niches repeat. Crabs keep evolving into crabs. There's a reason for this. What evolves is what fits the niche best.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think we're alone in the universe, you haven't been paying attention. Anyway, the story centers on the Antarian sphere, which they're a spacefaring race. They have about 50 different worlds that are everything from outposts, which is basically just, scientific study groups are there, to colonies, to full-on sovereign worlds, meaning they're the dominant population. Sovereign worlds get to make their own laws, but they have to fall under the rule of the High Council. And being in Tarian worlds, the laws can't be too different between worlds. Anyway, this story comes in about 25 to 50 years after the last large war that was fought. And the opponent that they faced was, the only thing they're known as is predators, because while it was an intelligent species, no race that's encountered them knows what their actual name is. They don't know what they call themselves because they can't communicate with them.
Oh, yeah.
And they call them predators because that's what they are to every other race.
Okay.
They basically will swarm through a system, take the resources, kill and most likely eat the dominant species and move on. They're intergalactic locusts.
Okay.
Or interplanetary locusts, I should say.
Uh-huh.
So we come in the story. The very first scene is behind the scenes in the chambers of the High Council. And they're talking about, what do we do if they ever come back? Because we know there were stragglers that came through here like 10, 15 years ago, and we had to fight them then, and we lost a lot of good people then. What do we do?
Okay.
We can't face these on our own. We have to do something. Well, what? And they decide that to do what they did the last time, which is the last time they engineered a race of insectoid type beings specifically to fight them. That didn't go too well for them, though, because they didn't think it too far ahead. And they left afterwards following the predators because that's what they were supposed to do, kill them.
Okay.
That was their overall driving goal, kill them.
Well, I know that you can keep going. I mean, it's 32 years in the making. And all I could think to myself is, we've got YA and we've got noir and we have space operas and nonfiction historicals and anything that bubbles out of my head. But next we're gonna talk to Lydia Emma. And she's going to tell us about all of her different books, and I'm going to hold them up here. And then we're going to pick on Lyz, and then I've got questions from the audience. So, all right, Lydia, if you want to start talking, I'm going to start holding up your books here.
Okay. I self-published 11. Oh, you're going to start with that.
Okay. Well, no, we can do that.
Yeah, I self-published 11 middle grade reader books written while I was traveling for my other job that I had at the time. And John, my first stories were saved on 5-inch floppies and printed out on dot matrix printers. So I understand where you were coming with your Commodore. But the subjects that I touched on in those books were things that kids that age, probably in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade range, might encounter. Getting used to a stepfather, growing up as a foster kid, learning to get along. And I have a lot of humor in some of them. And because I had written them, because our oldest son decided that he didn't want to read stories with girl characters in. Most of the early books, the main character is a boy, or a boy-girl combination. And in some of them, the humor comes out in that at this age, the girls are interested in the boys. The boys are just discovering the girls. So that's some of the humor. I like to write a little humor. I want kids to read books and enjoy them, and not, at that time, that was maybe more of a genre than it is now, because, John's book is probably a lot more their speed right now. But then I did one historical fiction, which is based on the Dakota Uprising in Minnesota in 1862. And it's written from the perspective of two girls, one immigrant girl German descent that moved into the New Ulm area of Minnesota, and the Indian girl that lived on the other side of the woods from where the immigrant girl lived. And it's their perspectives of what's going on, written from the, there are two different perspectives. The book is written as journal entries dated through the years when they met at age 12 up to the uprising, through the uprising, and then a little bit of the return afterwards. The point of that book was I grew up in that area, close to that area, and I always felt that I always had some sympathy for the Indians. I always felt they had gotten a bad deal, and I was kind of hoping my book would bring that out, showing the change that especially some of the Indians had to go through. And I know that Raven and I went through this. I know I call them Indians, and I know that it's, these days they are Native Americans, but back in the 57 to 1860s, they were known as Indians. So I still use that term in there. But that was probably one of the books I most enjoyed writing, because it involved a lot of research. And my other career, my main career at that time, was as a research chemist. And so I like research too. But then the book, I Am Perfect, I'm not really sure how that came about. I like to, originally it was written a lot in rhyme, because I did that. And then it just kind of evolved, and I just kind of mentioned to Kiersten one day that I had it. She said, send it to Chelsea, and the next day Chelsea is running with it. So it came about very fast. But the one I got done with the historical fiction, then I moved into The Sand Dancer, which is the first. Oh, you're still on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm showing the pictures.
The first of the Thad Wheeler series is The Sand Dancer, and that actually was written, the first chapter basically was written as an assignment for a class that I was taking, and then it just evolved into the book, and then it moved into The Hitchhiker. And as the books progress, Thad Wheeler quote goes through, but I take a character from The Sand Dancer and moved it into The Hitchhiker. And then a character from The Hitchhiker moves into the third book, which is in the process of being edited right now, called The Badge. And I do have a fourth one that I've started writing, but I don't know after that which direction I'd go. I'd like to do another historical fiction, but I've asked Dean to help me come up with a good topic, but we haven't come up with one yet.
I was gonna say, you got a cheat sheet in the house right there with Dean.
Yeah.
I will point out that Lydia Emma Harriet is married to Dean Ulland, and Dean he's a retired history professor, Minnesota history professor. So if she ever has a question,
That's right.
it's better than Google. Imagine that.
You bet.
Yeah.
And if in the rare occasion he doesn't have an answer for me, he can at least tell me where to look.
Exactly. All right. And the next one I'm going to pick on is Lyz. Lyz, do you want to tell us all the fun? You've been now with Fox Pointe since January 16, 2020. I called Lyz. She did the fateful thing of answering the phone. See, that teaches you a lesson. I said, we're starting a business. You want to be our accountant? She said, sure. I said, cool. And here we are. So
that. Yeah, we started talking about it before then, didn't we? Because we were camping and you were writing.
Oh yeah.
And we had talked about it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I've been in business, let's see, officially or unofficially. I incorporated in 17, and then, just kind of did on the side for a few years. And after 2 years of doing that, the, doors open, and I'm like, why not? Go big or go home. So, and it was interesting because the first year was just, my few clients that I did have. And then I think you and one other person were almost the same week. It was like the catalyst of now I'm actually like, I have a full clientele base. I think it's really fun, like working for Fox Pointe though, because I so appreciate authors. My grandmother was an author. My mom was super creative. She did daycare, but she taught piano lessons with, with the kids and all that stuff. So I really appreciate that aspect. And I got zero creativity in my bloodstream. So I kind of like live vicariously through all the authors.
Okay.
I can make a really great spreadsheet, but that's about where it ends.
Well, keep making those really big wonderful spreadsheets. We're growing in leaps and bounds, and man,
Yeah.
we have books. The party's going.
Can I
that's for
just
sure.
jump in a bit here?
Uh-huh.
I feel like in my family, it's the opposite. My grandfather was a math teacher, master's degree in math. My grandmother was a kindergarten teacher. My cousin has a degree in genetics, like all the math science brains. And here I am, the creative. So it was the opposite. I felt like the odd one out.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, how come I got looked over on this one?
Well, I've always been envious of that. I'm like, oh, I want to be able to do calculus, and no, brain won't work.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to do calculus.
I
no.
tried to be creative for a long time. Like when I was younger, I was much more creative. I don't know what happened. Like I became an adult and that all ended or something. But yeah, it was weird. I didn't ever want to be a bookkeeper. That was not what was on the list of what Lyz wants to be when she grows up. But I'm good at it, it's fun for me.
That's okay. No, math, you put numbers, first of all, it's like church and state, you shouldn't mix the two. So numbers and letters, whatever. And then anything numbers, I mean, honestly, it's true. Anything over second or third grade math, mom's mind is just, we're gone. And
That's
yeah.
why you've got Lyz.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I told her, gosh, probably less than a year ago, probably about September or so, or June or August, I don't know. I said, you do get the point that you're with us forever. You get that. And she's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, no, I mean like forever. So yeah, she is tethered.
It's like the Sandlot
That's what I
forever.
keep thinking too. That's like to think
Just
about.
so we're all clear on that. Okay. And then for me, I am a published author. My 6th book comes out in June, which will put me at 1 memoir, 2 fictions, and 3 children's books. I have a ton of other books, but I get busy. Let's just put it that way. I also do this. I head up all the sales stuff, and I'm the PR person, and I'm the co-publisher, and yeah, I get busy. That's about the best way of explaining it. All right, first question up is from Tamara. She says, do you help writers that don't know the full process? Well, yeah. The first step, of course, is, as we tell people, send a sample of your writing and your 30-second elevator pitch as to why someone would or should want to read your book. Now, I've seen query packages from authors that, I mean, are absolutely beautiful. They're stunning. They're like college thesis papers. I mean, they're gorgeous. I don't have the time to read through that. I know our editing department doesn't have the time to read through it. So I really want just the meat and potatoes of it all. Can I sell your book? What's it about? Do you know how to write? Is there potential? And in reality, I'm not even the person that makes the decisions on the incoming manuscripts. That is pretty much our entire editing department, because you'll be working with them to begin with to put your book together. And yeah, we walk you through the publishing process. There's a lot more to it than, write a book and then print it. I mean, there's a lot more to it. And so yeah, we help people through that and hopefully make it a pleasant process. So yeah, that's what we do there. And then we actually have another question. Alicia wants to say, will there be a 3rd book or more? Which book? Okay, Alicia, you're gonna have to help us. 3rd book. Well, I know John, how many books are in your series? 20?
For Shattered Glass, there's 4 of them.
Okay, there's 4 in your, I thought there was like 9.
For the entire series,
Yeah.
there's, well, for Through the Shattered Glass, there's 4. There's another 3 in the next series, which I'm working on now.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't know how many it was. I had planned originally 6 books,
Okay.
but they've each become, from being this, they've become
Mm-hmm.
like encyclopedic.
I get it.
It's too much.
Well, it's a lot. Well, 32 years worth. On my series, my fiction series, yes, there is a 3rd book. I just have to hold still long enough to write it and finish it. Actually, I've started writing it. I started writing it about 4 years ago, but like I said, I get busy. Lydia, you've got 4 books in your cozy mysteries.
Right.
And
Yeah, the first one is out. The second one is on your doorstep tomorrow. The
Fingers
third
crossed.
one, I think is scheduled for the end of June. I'm still working on edits on that. And the 4th one, like I said, when I had a lull, I started writing that one. And unfortunately, before my dear friend Anthony recovered some of my computer problems, I lost like 2,000 words of my manuscript. I'm a little leery about how I'm writing it now. But I would like to make a comment to the person who asked, or you answered about contacting you and going through the process. And I have to admit that Kiersten assigned me an editor who she promptly informed that I came out of a scientific background, and that's the style of writing I had. And my editor, Raven, dragged me into a really good book by pointing out that I didn't have enough, I was facts and not as enough emotion or conversation. And I've learned a lot. And I think this 3rd book that I'm editing, between Chelsea's comments and Raven's, I'm really enjoying going through the editing on this one.
okay.
So
I would think that scientific, dispassionate background, like you're just so used to thinking in that way and being logical and not injecting your opinions, whereas creative writing, it's all of your opinions. So I think that's really, really cool. So you're probably like super organized, and now you're bringing in the you, where you were taking out the you all your life.
Yes, you see, in scientific writing, it's not, I did this, it's, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of charts and graphs and all that sort of stuff. And which I redo some of Kiersten's spreadsheets because I like them better.
Thank you. You're probably the only one that actually reads it.
I read it.
Oh, thank you. Well, yes, you do.
It is a different style of writing. And I mean, for kids' books, it's a little easier because, I think I put more expressions in those, but it's when I moved to the cozy mysteries that I had to be more thorough, and Raven helped me with that. So, yeah.
And Lydia, thank you very much for all of the spreadsheets, reading them, because I will admit I get on a, not so much bender, but things pop into my head that I have to tell everyone about. And I know I go through runs where I send out like 6 emails of various information. I will tell you, sometimes even Chelsea will put my conversations on snooze. I didn't know there was a snooze function on Gmail, but apparently there is. I'm trying to be informative for everyone. Anyway, all right. And then Dean, I know that you're not going to divulge any information about another book, but do you have other ideas?
I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to restate that. My internet is breaking up here sometimes. So
okay, I know. Well, I know that you don't want to divulge any idea or any info about, but you've got like another book or 2 happening up there.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that. I have to have something to do in the winter, so
Well, there you go.
I can work around the farm in the summer, but that's not any fun out there when it's cold. So I have to,
Yeah.
But no, seriously, I do have some ideas. Yes, and
okay. Well, that'd be.
They interest me. My problem is things that interest me don't often interest other people. They tend to think I'm sort of boring, and so, but whatever.
Well, I will tell you, your editor, Sarah, really enjoyed your book. Now, Dean is down in southern Minnesota. His editor, Sarah, is from the Twin Cities, and she's very much looking forward to, he's got some different speaking engagements happening around southern Minnesota. And I know she's very much looking forward to coming down for at least one of them, meeting you in person, hearing you talk. And she loves that. So there you go. You have one in your fan club. No, actually, I will tell you, Dean has a huge fan club down in southern Minnesota, that's for sure. And yeah, his book tomorrow is highly anticipated, greatly looking forward to. Quite frankly, when I drop the books off at the bookstore here in town tomorrow, I would not be surprised if there were throngs of people falling out of Sweet Read stores.
You'll have to take a video of that before I'll believe it, but it would be nice. It would be nice.
I can make that happen. We can make. Is that a challenge?
I think you should do it.
I think so too. Okay, and then Katie, do you have any idea? Will you be doing? Well, you did a series with your chicken.
I did. Love and Murder is a standalone noir, but I plan on writing another noir that centers around crows.
About crooks?
Crows.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about that.
Yeah. And I've been kind of working these last few weeks, starting to develop the idea. And where I'm really going with it is it's about this group of crows that has broken off and is in hiding because they've lost the power struggle, they've lost the conflict. And where I really want to go with it is to explore the effects of war on later generations. So you've got the main character is this young crow whose grandparents were killed in this conflict. His parents were traumatized by it. And so I'm sure I should be talking to Dean, but this is just kind of started developing. And so I think just studying noir, being immersed in noir, you can't really divorce noir from war. So much of it came out of the post-World War II era. And you just see kind of the effects of World War II still on our society today. You see those threads going through. And so as someone who's a millennial, whose grandfathers fought in World War II, whose father was in Vietnam, and seeing those effects, my generation with Iraq, I want to kind of use animal characters and these very human-like crows, which crows are actually very human-like, to show these kinds of issues and really explore that subtext within a very small story of these characters that are just grappling with the fallout. So little idea, just a little bit.
and tell us what the loudest town is in all of America.
The loudest town.
You told me 10,000.
The crows. Oh, the Bothell Flats that we're talking about, where all the crows meet.
Yeah.
I told you. Yes. So in Seattle, the Seattle area, we have this city just north called Bothell. And there's this huge area called the Flats, and tens of thousands of crows roost there every night. It's absolutely massive. And I'm going to try and Facebook that and post it when I get more into research. Like, it is so loud, and you go there and there's all the cawing. So I'm going to see if I can do something live, or, live from the crow flat. So we'll see.
How many people live there? I mean, I can imagine that the
Bothell,
real estate...
I think it's about 20,000. The city, it's right near the University of Washington at Bothell. Okay. So it's all the students have to deal with all those crows all the time. It's pretty fascinating.
That's what Evan's friends were telling him about. Okay. My son Evan, most of his friends live out in the Seattle area. And so I think it was Connor that mentioned something about that. And he was trying to tell me about it, and you talking about it, it just clicked in my head.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, here is pretty much the epicenter of crow research at the University of Washington, Seattle. And one of the big professors there, John Marsliff. And so it's really kind of a fascinating area. And the research teams they capture the crows and they study them, they measure them, and the crows won't go near them. A campus of like 40,000 people, and they know their faces. They will not go near that research team. And this is happening over years.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and this is kind of how they found out that crows actually have a society, because
They do.
crows that have never interacted with these people are avoiding them because it's been
Yes.
passed on to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
I remember
And
reading some of that research. Yes.
his thesis revolves around that humans and crow societies have kind of co-evolved and have had this cultural exchange that has very much impacted each other. And so it's really fascinating because we and humans and crows go like tens of thousands of years back. I mean, we were the hunter-gatherers and
Oh,
they
yeah.
were following us along. I mean, it goes way back.
Oh yeah, and even in the Norse legends, Hugin and
Yeah.
Mugen,
Yeah.
Odin's crows,
Uh-huh.
Odin's ravens, thought in
Yeah.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
So that's where my head's at. It's I've got a bit of a bird brain right now.
All right, so for Warren related things, you need to talk to Dean, and then for
Yes.
Crow related things, you need to be talking to John.
We're a family here at Fox Pointe. We're just this growing family, aren't we? I'm just so
Yeah, we
excited to be a part of it. It's awesome.
Now, see, I'm random scientific knowledge is what it is.
Your space opera has like almost a space opera, like science fiction Lord of the Rings feel to me, with all the anthology and the history and the languages. I just love that. That's fabulous.
I've had friends of mine that have read it, compare it to both the Asimov's Foundation series and to Lord of the Rings, and I was like, I'm not really compared to those yet.
Well,
But,
we'll get you all shaped up, and it'll look fabulous. And then there you go. We'll
Well,
get some of those literary reviews that'll mention those in the reviews that'll go on the back covers, and there you go.
That would be awesome. By the way, I really was blown away by Becca's cover art that she did. I mean, that was just. When I told her that let me pick my jaw back up off the floor, I wasn't being facetious.
Mhm.
It took me about 3 minutes to close my mouth after seeing the image. It was wow.
Becca does incredible work. Matter of fact, I refer her out actually to a lot of outside of Fox Pointe jobs. But okay, all right. So anyone that is out there, it is 6:42. You've got us for about, figure, 8 to 10 more minutes. If you want to put your name in for winning a book, so far we have Alicia and we have Tamara. You guys are going to get books. I'm going to contact you on Facebook after this is all done. If anyone else is out there watching and you would like a crack at one of the 6 books that I'm giving away, I'll let you know afterwards. You need to ask us a question. On here you have an accountant, HR, authors, publisher, publicist, sales. I think I got everyone on here. Yeah, ask us a question. And let's see, I don't have any, oh, hey, summer, are we gonna do anything fun this summer? I don't have any other questions that I could come up with. Dean, what are you doing this summer?
I'm gonna get a new knee.
Yay.
No, I agree. We're gonna make a couple of trips to Michigan, to beautiful Marquette and Lake Superior, and perhaps a trip to Duluth,
Mhm.
and some shorter hops. We're not doing any European travel this summer. I think it's too early to start that again. So
Yeah,
but we
probably.
kind of have fun at home too.
Okay. And then of course, I will give you all the bookstore names in Duluth and all that. And you just stop by Fitger's and all the rest of them and show them your book. Now you have homework. Isn't that awful? This is why people should never answer my emails. I have homework, I have spreadsheets. Anyway, actually, today is one of our authors' birthdays. He turns 16 today, our youngest author, Liam Ulland Joy, who actually happens to be all in the family here, Dean's and Harriet, aka Lydia, Emma's grandson. So happy birthday, Liam. Hope you've had a fabulous day. All right, John, what are you gonna do this summer? Anything fun?
My plans are kind of fast and fluid right now. I mean, my big plans, copying everything on this and sending it out to my friends because do reading for me because
Mhm.
I like keeping distributed copies in case my system crashes.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm having a couple of friends come in from Pennsylvania for a day or so. Depends
Okay.
on how long they can stay. Catching up with them, having a barbecue. They do a lot of work with the Menominee tribe because yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, no worries.
My pain level is slowly creeping up as the night goes on, so my brain is
Okay.
skitzing. But no, they do a lot of work back and forth with the Menominee tribe and the other indigenous tribes.
Mhm.
Because Tracy's wife is actually a tribal member.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Cool.
and I'm really looking forward to that, seeing them because it's been about 3 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. Liz, how about you? What summer fun do you have?
Oh, nothing extravagant planned. Probably a lot of camping trips with the family, most likely. You know,
Yeah.
if it's up to me, house projects.
Woohoo.
I know. Adulting.
Yeah, your kids are like, okay, this has been fun.
Oh, the kids have fun stuff planned. Actually, the kids, I'm hoping to send at different times, send the kids out to Salt Lake to see my brother.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be away from each other and won't drive my brother and sister-in-law crazy,
Okay.
So they're excited for that. They have way more fun than I do.
Yeah, mom makes us clean the house. You're a lot more
Right.
fun. All right. And Lydia, Emma, what are your fun plans besides knee replacement taking care of?
Well, no, I'm gonna go wherever he goes, I think.
Oh, okay.
'Cause we drive,
You're-
we do long
You're
drives,
riding
but-
shotgun in the car?
No, we kind of, we're gonna travel before August
Uh-huh.
so that we can switch drivers.
Yeah.
Because it takes us 8 hours to get to Michigan, but it's
Yeah.
worth it to see Liam and his sister and his mom and dad, so we'll be doing that. And we're kind of just playing it by ear, how much Dean's knee. He has one new knee, now he's gonna get the other new knee, and so we're kind of just playing it by ear, see what he can tolerate and that sort of thing, so.
Sounds good.
Not, like you said, not any big trips, so.
Okay. And Katie, how about you? Besides going out and talking to crows?
We have some plans. We have some of my uncle and his family. Big Clan's going to be heading up to one of the local islands here called Whidbey, and so they rent this beautiful house out there right on the water. So we're going to go hang out with them. Going to try to make it back down to California to see my relatives down there, and just play it by ear, start seeing everyone again, getting back to normal after this last crazy year. I wanted to put in that my dad's parents are from Duluth.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And one of my favorite memories as a child was the 4th of July fireworks over Lake Superior. I was pretty small, but I remember those, and I don't think I've seen a better fireworks show since. So,
Especially with the water reflecting and all.
yeah, I loved it there.
And as for me, I have lots of camping trips, some of them attached to book festivals and literary events and book fairs. And yeah, we're going to be everywhere. And my goal is when there's no snow and ice on the roads, I'm on the roads selling, basically. But lots of events. I do have a couple of events where I'm basically going to set up my lawn chair, stare into the abyss. Hopefully there will be some pine trees involved, and it will probably be covered in bug spray. So that that sounds like fun, doesn't it? and then woo, my kids are like, oh, can't we just stay at a Marriott? I'm like, no, this is gonna be fun. And then actually it's been a weird tradition of mine, the Black Hills and Badlands, one of my favorite places on the planet. And I have never been out to that location in the same car twice. And so this last spring, I got myself a new car, which means obviously we have to go to South Dakota. So yeah, in August, I'm going to take the kids out there, and I'm toying with the ideas of possibly stopping at every library and bookstore along I-90. I bet they can't wait for that. I haven't laid that on them. Oh wait, Brad's on here.
You got to come this way. We have I-90 too. I-90, I think,
Well,
starts
there
in
you go.
Seattle.
Well, there you go. I'll just
We're
travel
just a few miles
further.
away. You just come on, slide on out, you know.
Well, one of these days, trust me, one of these days in 2022, for all the people that live outside of Austin, Minnesota, and I mean, the internet's great because I have such a big Fox Pointe family, and I get along well with them, so well with them. But there are people I have never met. I've never met John. I've never met Katie. I've met all the rest of you on here. But I mean, there are so many people. So one of these days in 2022, I'll probably just be like, hey, how's it going? I'll be on your doorstep. So
I think that Seattle is probably the indie bookstore capital of the planet. I mean, it
probably.
rains 9
Yeah.
months a year here. Everybody reads or writes. I mean, it's just how it is. I know you guys have the snow, but you know, it's the gloom, it's the moodiness, but
Mhm.
we have so many indie bookstores. So we got to get Fox Pointe books in all of those. for
Well,
sure.
I wholeheartedly agree. And then that would make a bigger spreadsheet for Liz, and she would be thrilled.
I'm sure. We're working on
Yeah.
that for you, Liz. We're working on
Exactly.
By that time, I'll have some other thing all figured out. See, I've got plans for the evolution of the spreadsheet.
it. Yeah.
Great.
You're gonna
Anyway,
have to
all
take
right.
over the West Coast here.
Well, now that is definitely the grand master plan. All right, well, it's almost 7 o'clock and we don't have any other questions. So I'm going to get a hold of Tamara and Alicia and ask you which books you want when we get off here. And I thank you so much for joining us. Again, thank you to John Levenick for joining us, and Lydia Emma Niebuhr and Dean Ulland and Lyz Tkachuck, sorry. And Katie Bishop, and then also Brad Farr, who is the Wizard of Oz behind the screen that makes this actually happen. And yeah, thanks for joining us. Where you can find all of our books right now, we have, I think 40. I think we have 40 active titles right now. And by the 4th of July, we should probably be up around 45. Basically, we do 4 to 5 new titles per month. So it's constantly changing around here, but you can find it at foxpointepublishing.com, and that's FOXPOINTE publishing.com. The E is because we're fancy. And you can also find it on Amazon. And if you happen to have a library or a small bookstore, an independent bookstore, or a chain bookstore for that matter, or anywhere that sells books, bring one of the books or mention Fox Pointe Publishing to them. We also do wholesale, so they can get a hold of me on that as well. And that would be greatly appreciated. We are a fairly young company, so as much networking for the new kids on the block, that would be hugely appreciated. But anyway, I thank you so much for joining us. We will not be doing these in June, mainly because I will be sitting out on a lawn chair covered in bug spray, staring into the abyss at a Colorado pine or whatever.
Are you sure you don't write no more?
I should be talking to you. I probably will start here in June. It'll be great. But anyway, we will be back in July, and I want to say, okay, July 13th. July 13th and July 27th we'll be back, and I will bring updates from the road. It'll be exciting. So thank you again for joining us. Have a fabulous night in your neighborhood. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.